What's up, y'all? Hey, I'm going to do a quick one here on the T20. If you want to know how to do a momentary switch mod for your T20, stick with me because I'm fixing to show you how to do it. It's real simple. A little history on the T20. When it first came out, I was skeptical. So when I started flying, Radio Master wasn't even a company, wasn't even doing anything yet. Jumper RC was out there. They had their T16 and some other products, and it was the end all be all. It was the go-to radio. So I picked it up, as well as most people picked it up, and it was working pretty good for a while. Then you started seeing some issues being posted in the community. Like one of the things was, the charging on it. If you didn't have a very specific low amp wall plug, people were burning the boards up, which is a elementary oversight. And then there was some other little minor issues of what have you that people were experiencing and things of that nature. And then the quality was starting to become a big issue for the company. And so at the same time that they kind of were dying out, Radio Master, which was a cousin company, they were independent, but they were both sharing the same designs. Radio Master comes out with the exact same model T16, a little bit cosmetically different, and there weren't any quality issues. And now everybody uses Radio Master. And so Jumper had a hiatus for a while, and then they came back out, and they came out with the T20, first biggest contender that they've come out with since all of that ended up killing their business. And I was skeptical because I know the history of Jumper being not the best quality radio that you could buy, and I was slow in trying Jumper out, slow in investing any more money into the company. Well, then you hear a few positive comments about the T20. Haven't seen any posts about the same issues we had in the past, boards burning out, boards dying on their own, what have you. So somebody had posted a used one, and I'm like, that's where I feel comfortable with knowing the history of Jumper, is I'm down with spending less money on a used one to test it out and just see what's going on before I invested full asking price. So I picked up a used T20, sat around for a minute, got around playing with it for just a little bit. Really wasn't switching, it hadn't piqued my interest to pick it up and play with it or anything. But a few months back, I finally grabbed it, set it up, started using it for my daily carry to work for my whoops and 1S and stuff like that at work, my analog that I fly around at work, because it just it all fits in this little case. It's just easy. I can put 100 batteries, goggles, radio, and a couple 1S builds, and I can just take that to work and fly, instead of having to carry these bags back here with all my 6S and 4S and 5-inch builds and stuff like that. So I got it, and I started playing with it, flying with it a little bit, and eventually got to be about 50-50 of my flying time I was using this Jumper. Didn't use it for work or anything like that yet, because I wasn't confident in trusting its quality and all that good stuff. But over time, that's grown. The amount of time I spend on this radio now has increased. And to tell you the truth, I absolutely love this radio. I love the form factor. I love that it's small. One of my favorite features, obviously, is the folding antenna. I really hate radios that don't have folding antennas. Yeah, they'll bend out of the way and stuff, but then that bugs me because it's always crooked. Not that it hinders the performance or anything, but it's freaking crooked. And I'm not bad, but on the scale or anything like that, but I don't know, it just kind of bugs me. Where this, you know, it's always straight and and there's no, you know, and it just I love that. One of the other features I love about this radio is I love that you can adjust the throw of your sticks. And one of the challenges I have, because I'm a hybrid, can you see that? I'm a hybrid. Any radio I have an issue with full stick deflection to me. It just doesn't feel like I'm like I'm like I just can't. And so what I end up having to do is pivot my hands a little bit farther up, but that's not natural. And so as I'm flying or if I'm in a hurry, I tend to grab the radio like normal, and then I don't have full stick deflection to me. I can't quite remember. I think it's to me, because what I've done, the reason I'm saying that is what I've done is these gimbals allow you to adjust the throw, and I've moved them in. I've shortened the distance of the throw. Then once you do that, you recalibrate. But there's several millimeters less movement to the sides than they are on any other traditional radio. And what that has done is once you adjust your gimbals where the throw is shorter, you recalibrate. Now you can hit full stick throw and have the same resolution. And now it allows me, whether I'm extending out or extending in, I have full range. And I love that. Not everybody's going to love that, but I love that. So the antenna, the ability to customize your gimbals to your personal preference is amazing. I wish there was better grip on the side. It's a little bit too slick for me. I'd feel more confident if I actually had some grip. So I'm gonna have to play around with some sort of sticky tapes or something. But the last thing that slowed my adoption of this radio full time was no momentary switch. There's these two switches here that are two position, push down they lock, push again they unlock. Everything else is 2s and 3 switches and stuff like that, but there's no momentary switch. I am a big proponent of pre-arm. I think everybody should have pre-arm. Pre-arm protects you, especially if you're new, a rookie. You really need pre-arm because you're going to eventually your throttle's going to be down and you're going to hit your switch when you're not prepared. And there's post after post after post of people getting chopped up. But this radio doesn't come with one. All radios should come with one. It's 2024. It should be standard. Whether you use it or not, every radio should have a momentary switch. So I went looking for replacement switches, trying to find a momentary. From what I could see, Jumper RC does not sell any aftermarket momentary switches. I went looking Radio Master, couldn't find anything because I was hoping I could find something that would go in these little holes there. And there's no drop-ins. There's probably switches out there, but there's no drop-ins. And of the switches I found, I would have to widen this hole. I'd have to drill this hole out in order to put a switch. Then I have to figure out where on the board to plug in that new momentary switch in order to use it. And then you got to go in and set the switch up and stuff like that. And it's just 2 wires, but it doesn't come with I haven't found a plug that comes with any instructions or the right plug to plug into this board. And we could probably figure it out, but why? Because there's an easier solution. So that brings me to the mod that I'm fixing to show you. If you would like to have a momentary switch, we're going to turn this switch right here. As you can see, it's momentary, it doesn't lock. Unlike this one, it's down and then up, down and then up. This one is a momentary. It's super simple, it's cheap, it's easy, and I'm fixing to show you how to do it. All right, you do have to be a little bit careful. It is a delicate switch, and if you damage the copper connectors on it, it's done. There's no fixing that. You'll have to order a new switch from Jumper RC. When it comes in, you can drop it in. Thankfully, you've got two. You got two switches, so you've got two. So if you mess up one, you've got a second one. With that said, let's just go ahead and get down into it. All right, so let's zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm going to be doing here. There. No. There. All right, so you can see what I'm doing here. First, we're going to get in here. Let's get in here and remove. Because funny enough, this radio has a bunch of screws that you have to remove in order to get in. And their Phillips head. Let's remove the radio. The batteries. So we don't cause any shorts. All right, so you got screw here, you got screw in this hole, screw in this hole, screw in this hole, screw in this hole. You got these two, and then you got two screws here. And then these two holes. Let's unplug this wire so we have a little bit more room in there. That allows us to kind of open up like a clamshell. And these are the, over here, these are the switches that we're looking for. So this one I've already done, and I almost messed it up. So now we'll do this one, and we've got 3 screws over here we got to remove. So here's our switch. Right here. Is the Momentary. This little switch we're going to disassemble and make one small little removal of a part to allow this to become a momentary switch. If you can see, you see this little gray right here? There's one on each side. It's like a saddle, and there's one of these on each side, and it wraps around and it snaps in and holds this top plate, holds everything together. So we're simply going to peel one side up. You can see this little is pulled up. You can see it's starting to, there's a gap right here. And then there's a spring in here, so you don't want to let it fly off. You want to keep control as you remove the other all right. This is what you got. The spring will come out, and you can see those two little copper tabs on each side. Those are very delicate. If you barely touch them, they will snap off. They're super thin. You only need one side. If you make a mistake and break off one or two on one side, it's fine. You can flip the little white part of this switch around and use the other side. Then you've got your little spring. Those two copper traces, if you will, feet, whatever, on that white switch, they run across two little paths on the inside of this housing that's against this board. So the two that are facing out against this side of the switch, they're not used. So if you break two off, simply flip around, and you want the two copper feet on that switch facing inwards towards this board. And if you can see, there's a little there's a little metal dude right here. We're going to remove that. Don't look like it's going to focus. This little metal guy right here, you're going to pull out, and that is the locking mechanism for this little switch. All right, that's all you got to do. Now, we have to put the spring back in. It has a little, the spring has a little nub in the base of this switch. That you stick that spring on when you put it back in there. White switch with the gray saddle. And we're simply going to put it back on. Push the little gray tabs back in, locking it back in place. You want to hear a tiny little snap showing those saddle ears, whatever you want to say, pop back into place. That way your switch doesn't pop out. And now we have a momentary switch that doesn't lock, and it didn't cost you a dime. Now let's put this back in the board. And so the switch is still in there. Just play around with it till you get this back in the right spot. Let's see if I got it lined up right. Back in. All right, and there. Now we got two momentary switches. Didn't have to spend a dime. And for me, now this radio is as close to ideal as any radio I own. And, you know, honestly, this is probably going to become my daily driver simply because besides it being a small, which there are a ton of small radios, you know, it's got the flip down switch, but these gimbals, this custom throw length for me, that's perfect. Now I can reach full deflection in all directions and not have blind spots, if you will. So I'm thrilled. And now I've got my Momentary switch for my pre-arm, and so far it's been a quality radio. So I hope this helps you out. Like I said, everybody should use pre-arm. You just never know when you're going to have an accident. So use pre-arms, save your fingers, especially if you're a new pilot. Save your fingers. And with that said, peace out. Love y'all.